in place in the exact spot where the previous football stadium at Andover Central was?
It's moved a little bit.
It's
Very close.
It's a whole football field to the east.
Yep.
Okay. For some reason, I thought it was in a completely different location.
Mhm.
And then I saw it being worked on. I'm like, wow, okay, that's all right.
Here we go again.
When we were looking at it too, the parking for it, I couldn't figure out where parking would be. I guess the school itself, since it's right up against the school, would be fine.
I'll send you a plan. And I have a engineering drawing of it.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Does it also have the tennis courts and everything else that's going on over there?
Yes, on the south side.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. That'd be awesome.
My computer will not even let me get out of the, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to share the agenda. Maybe you can, Lance, but just make sure you go to the public view. I can't share it. I'm sorry. Well, no, I'm not. It's not my fault.
Craig, did we get Dustin Navy the invite for Zoom? There he is. Never mind. That
Wow.
was awesome.
That was crazy.
Hi, Dustin.
Oh, hi, Jenny. How are you?
You're muted, Jenny.
Jenny, you're muted.
Darn,
Hey, Jenny, you're muted.
I was clever. I said, oh, I can't see Dustin's face. He must be eating dinner. And nobody heard me. Yeah.
So since we got DJ Homer on, maybe we could play a song and we can all do a dance to it at the same time. Record this. We'll be famous.
Viral.
Viral.
I changed
Wait,
it.
that's not a good word right
I
now.
don't think I want to be viral.
Right?
Sorry.
No, it's fine. It's funny though.
Okay, are we ready? I'd like to call to order the Andover City Council meeting of April 28th, 2020. Once again, we are not all meeting together in one room, but due to the coronavirus, we are meeting virtually via Zoom and come to our resident homes via Cox Channel 7 on the internet or on the internet. I would like to note up front that due to non-traditional natures of tonight's meeting, we will not have a public forum on this agenda. While state law does require we meet openly, so does the public, so the public can watch our proceedings. There is no law requiring public comment at every meeting. And at this point, I'd like to, for a roll call, and we will use the same order we use when we were meeting in person. I will start with Homer.
Homer, City Council.
Mike Warrington, City Council member.
Shelby Carcelari, City Council member.
Troy Tabor, City Council member.
Greg Schneider, City Council member.
Tim Barry, City Council member.
Mike Keller, Police Chief.
Donna Davis, Chief Financial Officer.
Chad Russell, Fire Chief. Lance Onstadt, Assistant City Administrator.
JT Klaus, City Attorney.
S. Mangus, Director of Community Development.
Susan Renner, City Clerk.
Jenny McCausland, City Administrator.
Tonight, Councilman Snyder will provide the invocation.
Everyone, please bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we are gathered here today to conduct city business. Please give us guidance and wisdom to perform this meeting in a satisfactory manner. In these uncertain times, please give us reassurance to know you are in control. Watch over our first responders and all city employees and everyone in the city of Andover. Keep us safe and healthy. I ask this in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Pledge of Allegiance. At this time, I'd ask all those on the call as well as those watching at home to stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I believe Susan can post an American flag on the screen. Troy, would you start us?
I will.
Thank you.
I pledge allegiance
Allegiance
to
to
the
the
flag
flag
of the
of the
United
United States of America,
America and to the
the
republic
republic
for which
for which it stands,
one
one nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
liberty
Liberty and
and
justice for all.
justice for all.
Thank you, Troy.
Sure.
Acceptance of the agenda. Jenny, do we have any changes to the agenda?
Nothing that you all wouldn't already anticipate. We did remove the one item that we discussed last night at workshop, but there have been no changes or additions made today to the agenda.
Okay. Do I have a motion to accept agenda?
So moved.
Go ahead.
Second. Homer, second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, say no. Motion carries 6-0. Tonight, we have a proclamation for Public Service Recognition Week, which is next week. I will read the proclamation now. If I have my packet open, but I don't. The city of Andover serves daily public servants on both the local and county level I'm going to start again. The city of Andover is served daily by public servants on both the local and county level who willingly serve the community they love. These unsung heroes do the work that keeps our city and county working, and public employees not only jobs, both oath and public servants in administrative roles, including but not limited to city administrators, city clerks, court clerks, chief financial officers, city engineers, and their countless support staff cover our local and county government from behind the scenes and are committed to tackling the toughest challenges. And public works professionals maintain public streets, parks, and utilities for the community. And many public servants, including military personnel, police officers, firefighters, and EMT personnel, risk their lives each day to serve the people of Andover and Butler County. And the public servants include teachers, nurses, safety inspectors, social workers, and countless other occupations who day in and day out provide the diverse services demanded by the citizens and their government with efficiency and integrity. And without public servants at every level, continuity would be impossible in a democracy that regularly changes its leaders and elected officials. In recognition of their service, I hereby call upon the citizens of Andover to recognize with appreciation and proclamation Public Service Recognition Week, May 3rd through May 9th, 2020. Be it resolved by Mayor Price with the concurrence of the City Council Assembly in regular session on this day of April 28th, 2020. Okay. Consent agenda. We are now to the consent agenda. It is very small one this week. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Mr. Mayor, I, Homer, move to approve the consent agenda items 7.1 and 7.2 as presented.
I, Troy Tabor, second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, say no. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you. General Occupation Bond Series A 2020, Dustin Ave, our financial advisor from Piper Sandler and Company, will present this item.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Great to be here, and I presume everybody can hear me okay.
Yes.
There's really, I guess, before you this evening is really maybe the first step in the legal process related to the issuance of the bonds before you. And these projects that are being financed are completed, and were originally financed through the issuance of the 2018 temporary notes. And those projects consisted of Prairie Point at Cornerstone, Cornerstone 8th, Prairie Creek 2nd and 3rd, Lafayette Herman. Those projects were included in the original temporary note. Those projects have been completed. Those final costs are known. What's a little bit different than normal city at large capital improvements are these are considered special assessment projects. So as we go through this legal process that has been outlined, and we have a calendar, I believe that you may have in front of you, Will, that outlines the legal process to go about issuing bonds and levying special assessments for the properties benefited by the improvements. This really becomes the first step of the process, which is setting the public hearing date, which is what you have before you today. And again, once we have the public hearing date set, we'll come back and actually authorize the sale of the bonds at a meeting in the end of May, which sets forth then a sale date for the bonds, which will occur in July. And at that point in time, we will be accepting bids on the bonds and securing final interest rates and setting forth the final repayment schedule for the bonds. At the time that that process has been completed, we will then go through the process of spreading the specials or certifying the specials with the Sedgwick County clerk. And all the properties have been benefited by such improvements will then be special assessed. And the special assessment revenues will be the source of repayment. They'll be used to repay the bonds over the 20-year period. So it's somewhat a little bit different than some of the other projects that we've done here recently. Again, when we do financial planning, I think the key is that there's really two components that we look at. The first component being is what's the financing mechanism? And then the second component being is what's our source of repayment? And again, the source of repayment can be ad valorem tax, sales tax, etc. In this instance, the source of repayment for these bonds, even though they're secured by the general pledge of the city, the source of repayment for these bonds will be special assessments. So this really becomes the first step in that process is setting that public hearing date, and that's the special assessment process for these projects. From a market perspective, I just want to maybe spend just a few minutes talking about just market dynamics in general. Obviously, it seems things are changing on a day-by-day basis, and in our market, we look on things in terms of basis points, and a basis point is 0.01, and so generally or normally speaking, fluctuations in the market of 0.05 one way or the other would be considered fairly significant on a day-to-day basis. In the last month, we've had a wide range of volatility in the marketplace, and it really wasn't 3 weeks ago that there was not any bond issues being completed because of the volatility. But even today, we are still seeing movements anywhere from 0.05 to 0.1 to 0.15 each day, depending upon general market conditions. And although there is still volatility, historically speaking, things are still very, very good and very, very favorable for issuers in terms of securing interest rates on bond issues. And we actually had a bond sale for the city of Hutchinson. It would have been 10 days ago. It was a 20-year bond issue. They received 10 bids. So again, a lot of demand for bonds, and their average rate over a 20-year period is a 1.88%. So again, very favorable from that standpoint, and something we're watching very closely. Now, in this instance, obviously the bond sale won't actually occur until July, and so we'll be giving the city periodic updates between now and then with respect to market conditions and so forth between now and that sale. And obviously we'll be back in front of the council when the bond sale is authorized in the latter part of May as well. So I guess I'll pause there for just a moment and just I know sometimes we're not face to face in a meeting room, and sometimes a little bit more difficult to answer questions, but I'm glad to entertain any questions if there are any about the process or market conditions related to this transaction.
Thank you, Dustin. Does anyone have any questions to ask or discussion on the matter?
Mr. Mayor, I have one clarification that might be added before we vote. What you're doing tonight, setting this public hearing for the special assessments, as Dustin explained, you'll get to why I messed that up in a minute. As Dustin explained, is normally a non-issue. The developers have asked us to make these improvements. They have signed the petitions. They have requested we make these improvements. We have put it in the court records so that anybody who bought a house knew that these special assessments would be levied. And occasionally we still get a complaint when people get the notice of their special assessments in the mail. This particular hearing is a little unique, and I just wanted you to be prepared for that on the 26th, because it contains a project, the Lafayette Herman Summerfield project. That project was not petitioned by the homeowners. That project was started by resolution by the city. And the city agreed to pay 50% of the cost of that improvement. And so 50% of those general obligation bonds are going to be paid by the city, not through special assessments because of that arrangement. At the time, everybody was told what their special assessment would likely be. And there was a public hearing before on that project. It was not universally loved. I would just simply point out, in preparation for the public hearing, that the estimated final cost that people were told at 50%, the total project cost was $974,000. We told them exactly how that would be levied, because we levied it based on the appraised values as they existed in 2017. I just thought it would be good for you to know that the final cost actually ended up being $770,000 on that project, $200,000 less. That doesn't mean anybody's going to love it, but it did come in less than we thought, and 50% of those bonds will be paid by the city. And I just wanted to make sure you were aware of that, because when we hold the public hearing, there might be somebody who wasn't in love with having that paved, and we do have to listen to them, and we want to listen to them, but the purpose of the public hearing is simply to make sure that we've spread the specials correctly. And sometimes people find an error, but that's what's going to happen next, is you're going to approve the final costs and the spread. I just thought that might be helpful in preparation for the public hearing that you're considering to approve on the 26th. Thank you, Dustin.
Thanks, JT.
So these homeowners, they already knew when they bought their house, they already knew these specials were going to be popping through.
No,
No.
they did not. Actually, Tim, you bring up a point. It might be wise to have Jennifer recap what the Lafayette Herman project was and why
I was going to ask about that too.
What do you think, Mayor? Is that okay?
First of all, before she does that, Tim, to answer that question, yes, the vast majority of these people, the developer asked for these special assessments, and they were told about the costs. Troy is referring specifically to the small piece that is relevant for Herman Summerfield, and Jenny or Les can explain that paving.
I was going to say everything JT said, and then that was one of, I believe we identified 16 miles of unpaved roads in Andover that we have very slowly tried to pave over time. It's the second project in the city of Andover that we've paved in the 10 years I've been here, and it included knocking on doors and getting 51% of the neighbors to support the plan. But there are certainly people who were very happy with not having a paved road and were not, as JT eloquently put it, thrilled that that project went through. So that's part of that long process of paving those roads. And that's something we'll talk about, hoping in June at your June workshop, because May will be budget, to talk about the way that we currently are paving unpaved roads in Andover and the slow process that takes when you need to get support from the people that will have to pay for a portion of it. And in this case, it was 50%.
Thank you.
Any other questions or discussion?
I guess my next question is logistically, if we're still doing a Zoom meeting, how are we going to do public input?
That's sticky. I guess I feel like all intentions appear that we could do this in person, but we have about a month to figure out the logistics. A lot of communities across Kansas have been doing some public hearings in person. It's probably going to include 3 of you up front, flipping the staff tables, having one at each end of the staff tables, removing a lot of seats in the gallery so people are 6 feet apart. And if we have to, queuing people either in the lobby or even in the parking lot if necessary to ensure that we don't have too many together. So yes, a lot of logistics to work through, but I'm hopeful in a month we'll be in better shape than we are today for public corporate meetings.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor. In full protection, we will also, the city will also have to explore technological opportunities so that if people do come to City Hall one at a time, they can come in and appear at the podium and be seen by you all at home. There is another opportunity we'll explore where there is a Zoom waiting room where the clerk can actually let people be heard remotely if they've made arrangements or have called in. So there is a Zoom technique for making sure everyone can be heard, which we should be looking and preparing for as well.
We'll be testing that technology at the Planning and Zoning meeting this May because they have some cases that require hearings. They do happen to be less controversial probably than potentially the Herman Lafayette project was. So what that participation will be, I don't know. It may not be a good test because there may be no participants, but it may be a good test because if we get a couple, then we can see how it worked electronically too.
Hey, Jenny, for those of us who are new, and maybe it's just me, but can you send me whatever we have on that issue?
Like the notifications that went to the homeowners? Sure.
Yeah. Or, I guess exactly where that is.
Oh, absolutely. It's right next to the district office off of Andover Road. To give you an idea.
That's what I thought, but I wasn't for sure. So
would you like a history lesson, or are you looking to see what we've actually done, what's going on now, I guess
probably just what's going on now.
Okay.
I'm assuming the history would be no one wanted it. And
how many homes were affected?
I don't think saying no one wanted it is fair. We've had over half of the.
Sorry, let me back that up. You're going to have your vocal citizens that didn't want it, that voiced their concern.
Fair.
And so that everybody understands, the citizens could have by majority protested the project and stopped it, and they did not do that. So
they did not, but if I recall, one person owns quite a few properties. Is that fair?
I think so.
So it does make it a little challenging, but
I think you're right. I think there was one owner that owned several rental homes in there, or just several homes, and I think the majority of the people that lived in there were retirees.
The neighborhood is the majority rental houses. There are 3 landlords that own at least half of those houses. The largest landowner in the project was USD 385. We did have the support of several of the landlords. There were a few of the single family homes that were not exactly supportive, but they didn't protest.
Yeah. Thank you, Les. I guess I'd move. Can I make a motion?
Absolutely.
All right, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to adopt a resolution to set a public hearing for May 26, 2020, to hear public input on special assessments for Prairie Creek Phase 2, Prairie Creek Phase 3, Cornerstone 8th Edition, Prairie Point at Cornerstone, and Herman Summerfield improvements as presented.
Homer, second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, say no. Motion carries 6-0. We have one more, right?
Yes, we also have.
Yes,
the
sir.
A2.
Total
Can I,
final cost.
can I just go ahead and make the motion for this since it's the same? Just the,
If no one has any questions or discussion, yes, you may.
all right, Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the certificate of final costs for Prairie Creek Phase 2, Prairie Creek Phase 3, Cornerstone 8th Edition, Prairie Point at Cornerstone, and Herman Summerfield improvements as presented.
Homer, second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, no. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you. Thank you, Dustin, for your time. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Dustin.
Thank you.
Heritage First Edition, paving project plans. Les Mangus Community Development, golly, I'm having trouble tonight. Les Mangus Community Development Director will present this item.
The Heritage First Edition is that first phase of the residential portion of the Heritage project. You may remember that we have negotiated work to do water, sanitary sewer, some grading, and the last was some storm sewer work for the project. That work has progressed along. The engineer has prepared the paving plans for the project, and the developer is ready to bid the paving improvements for the project. The action we're asking for tonight is for you to approve those plans and authorize the bids.
Mr. Mayor, I, Greg Schneider, approve the plans and authorize the opening of the bids for the Heritage First Edition paving and alley improvements on May 12th, 2020 at 10 a.m. in the council chambers at Andover City Hall.
Mike, second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, say no.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
since we're on this project, it's something interesting for those that were not here at the time was simply the word alleys in there. That is something in this area that is, I don't really find anywhere else in Andover, I don't think, that has an alley, old fashioned, behind the home park. So it's pretty interesting. You get a chance to kind of review the whole diagram, how it will look and everything. It's pretty interesting. We did a lot of work. I know Mike would really put in a lot of thought into the width and the fire department, how they would work and the look of it. And it turned out really good, I think. So that's all I got.
And what I've seen of it, and the times I've met with them, their intentions are the very best for Andover, and what they're doing is going to be very, very. It's going to be a very nice development. And growth is hard, so it irritates people, but we all get past it at some point. We hope, right? The motion carried 6-0.
Hey, Les, I do have a quick question. Shea Road, is Shea Road just going to be a dead end then?
No, this is just a portion of Shea Road.
Okay. And
The
it's not going to have Kellogg access, is it?
no,
It's going to kind of go back through.
no, it will come to a T intersection.
Okay.
Down at Willowbrook Street.
Okay. Thank you.
So where's the alley?
The alleys are in the western
at
portion of the project.
Page 18, Homer. It kind of shows you.
All right, thank you.
The higher density single family homes have alleys with garages in the rear.
I got you.
If I'm correct, there won't be traffic on the streets where it'll be kind of a facade, isn't it, of,
The fronts of the houses are intended not to have garage openings
yeah.
because they're very narrow lots. They're 30 and 35-foot wide lots. So the garages will face the alley. Otherwise, they would consume the entire frontage of the lot.
It's been a while since I looked at the diagram, so, all right. 9-1 Yorktown Parkway. Les, would you present this change order?
Sure, the Yorktown project progressed maybe even a little bit ahead of the USD 385 Central Campus athletic improvements. So at the time we initiated construction for the Yorktown Parkway paving project, the plans weren't necessarily complete for the athletic improvements. So we intentionally didn't include any pedestrian crossings because we weren't exactly sure where the different sports activities would be. So now plans are complete, everything is in construction, and we've identified that a location near the conference cabin, which lines up with the road across the dam of Lake George, is an appropriate location for pedestrian crossing. And we just by change order add that pedestrian crossing with the traffic engineer's recommendations to put those same rectangular flashing beacon pedestrian signals that we have up on Central Avenue and over on Andover Road at the Redbud Trail for warning in advance for the driver.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve change order number 10 to the Yorktown Parkway contract with Cornejo and Sons in the amount of $95.20.
Second.
Sorry, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say no. All right, motion carries 6-0. 11, North Andover Road Improvement Project. Les will introduce this item.
This project has grown in scope since it was originally added to the WAMPO Transportation Improvement Program. It started out as strictly a bicycle pedestrian path improvement. But again, as the plans for the school came along, we asked the school to do a traffic report about how traffic would circulate around their 3 campuses at this location. And after about a year of analysis by the school's engineer, Baughman and Company, and our engineers at Trans Systems, we agreed on a traffic circulation plan. And we agreed that some improvements to North Andover Road were necessary to make everything function properly with the least amount of conflicts from all of the turn movements in and out of those schools. So we went to WAMPO and asked that we change the scope of our bicycle pedestrian path project to a much larger road improvement project for turn lanes, traffic signals, and a bicycle pedestrian path. And over the course of about the last year, we were finally granted those WAMPO transportation improvement funds to build this project. The first step is to ask KDOT to initiate a project. That puts all of the paper in place to obligate the funding for this project to make the city of Andover partners with KDOT, who will administer the project. And we've already started on the preliminary engineering, and we should be ready for construction in 2022. Now, we have an agreement with USD 385 that they will split the local share of this project. So typically, these projects are 80% WAMPO federal funds for construction and construction engineering, 20% local. In this case, that 20% local and the preliminary engineering and right-of-way acquisition and utility relocation will be shared equally between USD 385 and the city. So our first step is to authorize the mayor to sign this form asking KDOT to initiate a project.
Mr. Mayor, if I may add a point, it's two things. One is this is several years in the works for this project, and it, as Les said, it did grow quite a bit. And Les, being on WAMPO, has been instrumental in getting this done. I think, Les, tell me if I'm wrong here, but since Andover Road is the primary connection between US 400 and how you would get to 256 as well as to the Turnpike, doesn't that help in getting KDOT and WAMPO getting funding for this? Is that right?
Sure. Just the connectivity that Andover Road provides all the way from Udall up into northern Butler County at Elbing and Highway 254, as well as all of the local traffic for the commuters to and from Wichita and El Dorado. Andover Road carries a lot of weight in the regional system off of the highways.
Right. And so the bucket of money that's available for this project is wholly different than, per se, like the Lafayette Herman project we had talked about earlier. There's no way that funding would have come from WAMPO or any kind of federal funding that I can think of. That would be all on the city. But Andover Road is different, as well as 159th Street. So
correct, because it's considered to be a regionally significant route.
Yeah. So just something to keep in your mind in the future when we look at modifying these roads or building them, expanding them, that kind of thing, for everyone that didn't know it. We had that bucket to choose from. Second thing,
yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to throw out, and it's not part of this project. It's on the same exit out of the community college side of that. There's a bridge that goes over a creek. And I had pointed out before, I think, somewhere, but when you go to exit the parking lot, you cannot see to the right because the bridge, there's a lot of metal slats that go across there, to stop your car or person from getting into the creek, but it also makes a pretty big blind spot for people that are trying to pull out from there. And I just hope that we can try to figure out what it would take to maybe fix that a little bit.
Yes, that was one of those additions to the scope of this project. That large series of box culverts has to be extended 12 or 15 feet.
Oh, that's beautiful. Okay. I think somebody else was going to talk.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Les, I had a question for you. On Allison Street, we have a turn going in, and then we have two turns coming out. Are we widening Allison to have a turn coming in now?
Allison would be 3 lanes.
Okay.
With a center left turn for eastbound traffic only.
I'm looking at if you zoom in a little bit, Mike, I believe there's a left turn in the very center of Andover Road if you're going from south to north. Is that what your question was?
Yeah. It kind of confused me for a minute because we had a left going in to it, but you couldn't quite tell that there was a right-hand turn coming into it when you're going south. But You can see the really dark line, which the black line, and because Allison Street right there is really narrow, so I'm assuming that we're widening Allison right there.
Yes, there will be a little bit of widening on Allison Street.
On those notes, Mr. Mayor, I may make a motion.
Yes, please.
All right. So I'd like to move to authorize the mayor to sign the Kansas Department of Transportation Form 1302 project programming request to initiate the North Andover Road Improvement Project as presented.
Mike, second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, say no. Motion carries 6-0. On to 12.1 mayoral appointments. Each April, mayor appoints members to the Andover Library Board. This year, the library director recommended Ms. Carolyn Hell, former city council member, for the open position. I am happy to put forth this appointment for a 4-year term to the library board. Any discussion on this?
Mr. Mayor, if I may, I'd like to make a motion to approve the recommended appointment of Carolyn Hale to the Andover Library Board effective May 1st, 2020 for a 4-year term.
Mike, second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, say no. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you. Member items, and we come to the time for the members' items. We've done all night. Let's start with Homer on any items.
I don't have anything in particular. I just know with, the openings coming in stuff that we just all take pause and think about each other, when we go to do our activities and all the sorts that we're itching to get out to do. So I hope you all are well, and till next time.
Thank you, Homer. Mike?
I was really excited to see Caroline as the nomination for the library board. She's done so many great things for the city, and that just made me happy to see her nominated for that. So thank you, Mayor.
Shelby?
I have no items tonight.
Troy, how about you?
Ditto with what Homer said, for sure. I don't have any updates from the chamber or anything. There's not a lot new. They're all just like we are in a pattern of trying to figure out what the heck's going on and what we're going to do about it. But there's a lot of very intelligent people out there working on it, whether it be business owners, city leaders, individuals. Everyone has got their mind, at least they're trying to, around this. And as Homer had mentioned, staying safe, taking care of each other, making sure that we do what we need to do is probably our way forward for this point. That's all I got.
Thank you. Greg, do you have anything?
Yeah, just everybody stay safe and well. That's all I have.
Thank you. And who's that other guy? Tim Berry, where are you at?
Mr. Mayor, gotta get some powder for your forehead. I just want to thank the city staff, Jenny, all the folks at City Hall, all the work, all the Parks and Rec guys and ladies. They're doing a phenomenal job in such a tough time right now. Of course, the firefighters, police. I would like to ask Chief Russell when he's going to do a story on Facebook. I can provide you the coloring book if you'd like, but I'd like to see you do a story on Facebook, Chief.
You may be surprised to learn that it's already recorded. So it'll be coming.
Yep. All right. So, but everybody stay safe and, take care and be well. Does staff have any items they'd like to mention?
I would like to mention, I emailed you all this afternoon. Butler County Commissioners did receive a health order draft from the health director this morning at their meeting. They did not have any concerns with what was presented. And so what the plan is in Butler County would be for that to be enacted on Friday, should the governor not make statewide action Thursday afternoon. Thursday afternoon is what we've been told. She'll release her next order, and local governments will get a heads up at 2 o'clock to find out what that order is. So we'll have about an hour's notice before the rest of the general public on what's coming. But I believe it will be all signs point to a mostly local return to control at the local level. And so
That'll be good.
yeah, and the plan that Butler County, for the public that's listening, it is very similar to what the White House has put out. And I don't know that I have that website handy, but we can certainly put a link to that on our website, our COVID page. We can do that so that you can get an idea of the phasing back into commerce initially being the primary concern, and then slowly but surely more of a return to civic life.
Anyone else? Les, you look like you're in a dark room. Kind of scary.
I'm enjoying the sunset through my 12-foot patio window.
Wow.
Oh.
Any other staff have anything to say?
Mr. Mayor, I'm not staff, I guess, but I just remembered something that happened. It was last night. I went outside and there was a row of about 20 what looked like stars in a straight line and spaced out pretty evenly that flew across the sky. Pretty much freaked me out. I didn't know what it was at the time. Brought my kids out. We all were having a look at the UFO moment, but it was the star. What, Tim? You look.
SpaceX.
The SpaceX 5G satellite array that's in the sky. It's pretty awesome.
You'll see it again tonight too.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's been going quite. You can see it quite often. I think the first time I saw it was 3-4 weeks ago.
Man, it was freaky. That's
All
all.
right.
Thank you for that, Troy. That's. Did you look north for that, or just straight up?
It went from west to east, and it was straight above our head.
Mm-hmm.
And about what time?
I don't recall.
Should be about. I thought it was going to be. They said I think about 8:45, 9ish tonight. It's going to be a little bit brighter for us from what they were saying, and then it should be clearer tonight to be able to see it as well.
Man, you can also see it in the daylight. I hear it as well, which is kind of also kind of a little creepy too. So
yeah. And it was really weird because like they look like stars really, and just right overhead they would blink out one at a time. So it totally looks, and I don't think I'm sure it's a reflection of the sun or something that we're seeing. I think. So it's really odd. The timing of when it blinked out was just, again, it just went into the X-Files factor for me and my family. It was funny.
I'd like to take a minute and say for Chief Keller and say thank you for putting the speed trailer out there on 159th. I got a hold of Chief this week, Monday, I believe it was, but Saturday I was at a friend's house in that area, and I noticed that the people speed up and down that road like it's going out of style on Central to Kellogg, and Chief reached out to WPD, and a friend of mine let me know today that not only was the Andover officers up and down the road quite often, but so was Wichita PD. So I appreciate that. It was just, I get that on my road, and it's only one lane wide, but it was quite a lot of traffic Saturday night. There was mainly Mustangs. I think it's a normal thing. But thank you, Chief, for doing that for me. I appreciate it.
You're welcome, sir.
And Council, we've faced a lot of things this year, and it just keeps keeps rolling. But y'all have done a tremendous job of keeping the public informed, being in the public, and when you can, and letting them know that we're here for them. And I appreciate that. Not all communities are like our communities, and it's an extraordinary time, and they appreciate us. They appreciate knowing that we're out there working for them. I talk to a lot of them, not just business owners, but individuals, and they express to me that they're very appreciative of us doing what we do, even though it's such a fluid situation, as they say. They appreciate that we're out there and we're working for them. So thank you very much, all of you staff and everyone. And what one question, Jenny, we're sending out the mailer. We do have folks that are not on. Do we not have folks that are not on sanitary sewer and trash, or is that not right?
No, we've got folks. Actually, we have people that are on city sewer that are not technically in the city, so they pay an outside of city rate. But so everyone in the city should receive the mailer. We do have some citizens who choose to pay their bill either through ACH or they pay online. They get electronic bills. Those citizens receive an email with the same information that gets inserted into the paper bills. So you should be reaching everybody with that information.
I just wanted to make sure that was happening. All right, thank you. Shall we adjourn? Or anyone have anything else before we adjourn?
Oh, thanks to everybody. Mr. Mayor, I would like to make a motion to adjourn.
Mike, second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, say no. All right, motion carries 6-0. And one more thing, I appreciate y'all putting up with me tonight. I was out working outside today when the storm came in from the north, and man, it's just it's rattled the mayor's hay fever beyond belief. I woke up about just in time to drive down here and do this because I'm old and I fell asleep. So sorry about all the hiccups tonight, and I'll try to do better next time.
All good. Thank you for that.
You're good, sir.
I'm looking forward to the time that we can be in the same room together, because it's well, except for Tim Barry, I'm not excited about being around him, but the rest of you, I'm really
Man, we just I can't say what
respect.
I know what you're thinking.
Probably had something to do with the powder on the forehead remark.
Wow.
That'd be my guess.
Chief Russell, how are you doing? You've been kind of quiet.
We're doing fine, hanging in there. Good attitudes. Getting a lot of hydrant testing done. We're doing little mini parades after hydrant testing, so not able to interact with folks like we really like to, but we're being able to at least see our neighbors and say hi to them and wave to the kids and hanging in there.
Kids love it, man.
Yes, sir.
Oh, I was running down the street when y'all were out there at Easter trying to catch you, and you didn't come down to Mayor Street, so I had to run from corner to corner. It was quite comical. The neighbors really enjoyed watching the fat bald-headed guy running. You know what I mean?
Oh, we thought it was the bunny. Their bunny.
Staff, I tell you, man, y'all, I'm not very polished, and you've made it very easy for me to, as easy as it can be for me to do this mayor thing and get through these meetings, because I have no clue. And Jenny's gone to great lengths to keep me from looking as foolish as I'm able to, and I appreciate it.
We just do our jobs. You guys do the heavy lifting.
Good night, everybody.
Night.
No.
Night.
Thank you.